Hi, Peter Charles of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie the cow dung. It's a classic wet fly pattern, uses a quill wing and normally a dubbing body, but I'm going to show you a little cheat today, and it's a great little cheat and it saves a lot of time. So let's look at our materials first off. Our hook is a size 14 long shank hook, typically used for dry flies, but we can use it for this purpose as well. My thread is an 8/0 in a light olive. And here's the cheat. We're not using dubbing today, we're using an olive uni yarn. The hackle is a ginger hen. And for our wing we have a matching set of turkey quills. And remember, you need a matching set, a left and a right, to make this work. It's because we cut a slip out of each side, so when we put them together they match. And when I do that, by the way, if you're going to do a production run where you're going to do, say, maybe 10, 20 flies, when you produce your slips, put a little dab of glue in the butt section, hold them together, and then you can do 20 slips in a row, glue them all together, and then when you need to start tying, you just pick the slips up and keep on going. It saves an awful lot of time. And that's what I've done today. I put a little dab of glue just to hold them, so when I tie them, everything stays in place. So, let's get started. I'm not going to start with my thread, actually. I'm going to start with my yarn. I'm going to start about 1/3 of the way back, and you'll see why in a minute. And then I'm just going to wind this on like thread. Get back to about the hook point. I'll cut off that tag end. And I'll just keep winding all the way back. Now you see it's already started to take on a cigar shape. And just by adjusting pressure and my winding angle, I can create a very nice cigar shape. There we go. Now it's time to put on the thread. Now I just come in underneath like this, lock in my yarn. Be careful not to cut your thread when you're cutting your yarn off. Very easy to do. That's something even experienced fly tierers do. Cut our yarn off. Or cut our thread when we're cutting. We're supposed to be cutting something else off. Okay, now it's time to put in our hackle. And I've got a little triangle at the front of this. I've taken off one side. You can see there's one side's been trimmed off. And I'm just going to get that little triangle as my tie-in point. Get my thread started, pull it back, and wind it forward, and then wind it back. And I'm going to use my half hitch tool just to put in a little half hitch here. Now we get the hackle pliers to wind on our hackle. And when you wind this on, make sure you're putting each turn in front of the previous. So now we start to wind our hackle. You just make sure you're keeping that quill just in front of the previous one. If you find yourself starting to trap some hackles, brush them back. There's always a couple that want to stay stuck out in front. So I sweep that back. Now I'll trim off my hackle. Now I got some that have swept forward on me. That's not a problem. I just fold them back. We want it swept back anyway. And if you've got any stray bits, this is time to come in, trim them off. Now we put in our wing. Just a little bit longer than the hook. I'll just wind that thread all the way to the back end. Bring it up, bring it back down, and bring it back up, and then pull tight. Now it's time to make sure they've sat on correctly. Make any adjustments that you need. Just lift it up. And trim off. I just hold those wings in place and finish off the head. And now we whip finish. And trim the thread. Might need to make a little bit of an adjustment to your wing, but that's fine. There we go, the cow dung, all ready to for our head cement and then to go fishing. So, give it a try, and remember, use yarn instead of dubbing. It's way easier, and they come in all sorts of colors, and I've done a lot of flies using yarn. Works like a charm. So, give it a try.